Welcome back, everybody around the world, including Finland, our newest edition. We have Finland listeners now to Gonzo Film Reviews. Today we have probably the greatest movie of the past decade to review, Minions, The Rise of Gru. Definitely the movie of 2022. I don't know about what you guys think, but that's definitely number one spot. Nothing can compete with that, not even Avatar.
No, man, no. It's going to be a real tough one to beat. I think they're really going to have to fight tooth and nail for that spot.
It's absolute cinema. I heard reports that Scorsese fired 3 interns and beat up a lady on the street because he didn't come up with the idea first for Minions: The Rise of Gru.
Yeah.
Greatest film of all time, clearly.
Well,
we're going to be reviewing that one, and then we're going to review Watch Dogs Legion for you. This 13th episode.
Yeah.
It's not landing on a Friday or anything. It's not in October.
No.
Bummer. Could have planned this better.
Yeah, we probably could have.
But 13th episode. I guess it's for good luck at this point.
The chips fall where they may, right? I didn't get the chance to see Minions. I know you did.
I'll be giving them the rundown.
Yeah, so you'll have a lot to say, I'm sure.
Oh, definitely. It's probably the greatest exposure to the eyeballs that one could ask for. And the greatest audio experience, if you can hear.
Of course.
And if you can see, obviously.
And if you can speak a non-existent language.
And if you can speak at all, you can tell the entire world. You can spread the word about how great this film is. You can tell your friends and your neighbors and your relatives and strangers how perfect this was.
Yeah.
But whatever you do, don't tell the damn kids to go see it in Suits, because that was an abomination.
Well, I mean, the previews didn't do the movie justice, from what you were talking about earlier.
No, not at all.
Because the previews made it look like it was just a lot of bumbling chaos with no linear storyline.
It's actually a perfect sequel to the last Minion movie, when they've met Gru after spending a few thousand years, probably about 10, 15,000 years on Earth.
Traveling.
Not aging, not evolving, nothing. They just they went from big boss to big boss.
Yeah, they're minions.
And then they found a mini boss, and they like mini boss the best.
Yeah.
So they're with Gru now, and this basically explains how they got to be so tight with them.
Right.
In the 3 Despicable Me movies, and there's gonna be a 4th one in 2024. So I expect all of you to break the house down and see that one in 2 years. But no, The Rise of Gru is incredible. I don't even know where to begin. You want to level some of the criticisms that most people give these movies, and I'll shoot them down one by one.
I guess the first one you already crushed, which is I said that they're like the Minions movies. I get that the first one had like a good story to tell because it was like their origin thing.
Yeah.
Like there was a direction it was going in. But for this one, they really just, I mean, the title kind of gives it away, Rise of Gru, but other than that, anything they've shown prior to the actual release of the movie did not make it seem like there was any kind of linear story going in any direction. I mean, the preview showed the plane, like them on the plane disguised as
greatest
like,
scene ever.
The plane. And then just it was so everywhere and all over the walls. But I mean, you just squashed that one.
Well, that was a genius move by the marketing department, because it got the 4-quadrant audience in, because everybody's going to want to watch that plane scene on the big screen. So that's pretty much what they marketed, but they kept the story secret. So when you did go see it, you were pleasantly surprised by the very engaging and fun story that they actually had in their back pocket, and the amazing voice actors that killed it.
And when you did tell me about like the story being really good and everything like that, I was actually really like, I was really happy to hear that, because I don't enjoy not liking movies. You know,
Yeah, it's not fun
Like-
to just be a dick and
yeah,
go there just to hate something.
I don't enjoy like having low expectations for anything. But the previews really left me with nothing. I mean, I was probably gonna see it anyway. I will still see it, but it just makes me feel better about it knowing that, that impression it gave me off the bat was wrong, and that there's more to it. It kind of gives that relief, um, to where there's still a movie out there that's not Top Gun that's gonna be getting business. I mean,
Yeah, I'm sick of Top Gun. It's had its
Yeah.
day. Go away.
It's had it. I mean, granted, I've heard it's an amazing movie. I've heard it's even better than the first one from a lot of people who've gone and watched it. Um,
I've heard people say it's great, but they never give me a single reason why. They just say, well, it was good. And I'm like, okay, why was it good? What made it good?
they've waited a
It's
long
good.
time. They've waited a long time to get this sequel, so
And I'm like, are there people that only watch Top Gun movies? Or like, that's very interesting because they're like, I waited 30 years for another good movie to come out. I'm like, what's a good movie? One that has Top Gun in the title.
And they don't even say that when they ask for like a ticket half the time. They'll say like Maverick.
Yeah,
you know.
Tom Cruise.
They always just call it.
Where's Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
He's not here.
I
Do
don't
you want the
think-
movie he's in
I don't
though?
think he's doing a meet and greet.
No, he's not signing anything out here, but in the middle of nowhere. But
Oh yeah.
no, the story though of Gru, it actually does center on Gru. He's basically the one driving everything forward.
Oh, good.
His desires, what he wants to become, and what he's stuck with as a kid is basically the main boulder that's rolling down the hill. And the minions are pretty much there for they're the comic relief. They do have their own story though. They do give some background about how they started to acclimate to life with Gru and his mom, because
I love Gru's mom.
the amazing Mary Poppins plays his
Yeah.
mom. Julie Andrews is incredible, and she's still hilarious as his mother. So
She's really funny.
she was kind of like the mother of him and about a couple hundred other sons now
Yeah.
in the Minions. So she was great. All the voice actors were great. The villains.
That's just weird though, right? Like the minions are all male.
Pretty much, yeah. They I don't know of any female minions.
We've never seen.
They're just a bunch of crazy little
female
dudes.
minion. They're just, unless they just are genderless. But like,
It seems like they kind of
seem
hatched.
male. Yeah.
I think they kind of hatched. So they're not, and then they also are pretty much indestructible.
They really.
They don't really die at all. But they're very afraid of things, which is funny. They have a fear of mortality, and they have a fear of pain sometimes. In some cases, they don't. They're pretty much just cartoon comic relief.
In the other movies, what's his name? The scientist.
Dr. Nefario.
Yeah, he experimented on them. Remember whenever he was testing like the weightless potion?
Yeah, and then he tested the shrink ray on them.
Yeah,
Gru just shrunk some of his minions, and then they grew back to normal size after a while. So Nefario was like, "Ah, shit." It's like, the larger the mass of the object, the quicker it wears off. That's the Nefario principle. I just came up with that now. So he figured out some issues, which is why when they shrank the moon, it grew back to normal size damn faster than the minion did. But that's just reasons why the first movie was great. This one was great because even when the minions were exclusively on screen, and even when it was just them as part of the story, they actually had something to do.
Right.
They actually had goals, desires, wants, and needs, and they took specific action to try and fulfill those needs. I'll just go ahead and spoil it. most of their scenes in the latter part of the story, probably Act 2 and bordering into Act 3, they had to learn Kung Fu from this Kung Fu lady who saved them from a street brawl.
Oh, that was in the previews where they like dropped a safe on the little one and he just broke through the bottom of it.
Yeah, Bob, they figured out he had an indestructible head. So
yeah.
that's probably why they
started
made
hitting him with everything and it breaks.
That's probably why they made him King Bob in the first movie.
I think so.
He's just indestructible.
King Bob.
He's adorable. Bob is so damn
He
cute.
is. He's
so.
just precious.
He was pretty much the little lamb of the whole story. But he did have his wild side. So when she taught them each how to find like their inner animal, their inner beast,
Yeah.
they didn't get it obviously, but once they actually had to get into the middle of a big fight, they figured it out. And his beast was hilarious. I think he was the chicken, and he would like hatch little eggs at his enemies, and then he ended up with a little chick baby. So even when he reverted back to a minion, he was taking care of like this little chick. It was so funny. That was his weapon, just egging people.
He's a chicken.
Yeah. And then we had a goat, a chicken, and I forget what the third one took. I think it was a cat or something.
Why do I feel like Kevin's the goat?
Yeah, I think Kevin was the goat.
Kevin is a goat.
He really is.
He really is.
FYE has an exclusive pop figure glow-in-the-dark Kevin.
Wow.
I might need to pick that up at some point soon.
I do enjoy his character.
Free advertising for FYE. It all came together very well, and it was short enough that it didn't get annoying. Gru's mentor was amazing. I think Alan Arkin played his mentor, and it was that whole story was amazing. Gru was trying to find his footing and actually become a great villain, even though he's a child. It was set in the 70s, so there's a lot of funny nostalgia pangs in there. All the villains, the 6 villains that betrayed Alan Arkin's character in the beginning, they were all hilarious, well voiced, good puns too. So you had an evil nun. She was a crazy nut.
She's the one with the nunchucks, right?
Yeah, and she had nunchucks. And then you had an actor named Jean-Claude playing a villain named Jean-Claude with like a giant like lobster claw machine and everything. You had a couple others that were less memorable and interesting, but they actually all came together and worked pretty well.
I enjoy the plays on names. The nun with the nunchucks.
She was a boss.
With the claws.
I think her best scene was when she just like levitated, a holy light and angelic choir played, and she just descended upon her victim, and then she rose up again when they left, all in their vehicles. She just assumed into the sky. I loved it. That was very well done with her.
I do enjoy those movies. I mean,
they're just silly fun. And this one actually had a story. The first one was really suffering with its story, the first Minions movie, because it was hard for them to figure out what to do with Minions as a concept all by themselves without Gru or the girls or the
all we got
spy agency.
Despicable Me and everything like that was they were the helpers.
Yeah, they were just the silly comic relief.
Where nobody knows what... We didn't know what they were or where they came from or why they were there,
Yeah, all we knew were the cackling, maniacal little fun guys who loved violence and I loved stealing things and loved chaos.
And seemed to just be, like, fearful of everything, like you said, but indestructible entirely.
Yeah, one of them ended up floating on the moon with Vector, and he was fine.
Yeah,
it was crazy. But... yeah, I think it was way better than people think it's going to be. And I think that's why it had such a big opening weekend, because it wasn't just the kids going to this one. It's the teenagers going for the memes, and then it's it's adults basically saying, oh, well, this is, there's nothing else playing right now, and I've seen a bunch of old people seeing this one.
Right.
So they obviously, the Facebook memes are working. They're getting the grandmas into cinemas for Minions: The Rise of Gru. And if you have a grandma, bring her, because she'll enjoy it just as much as you probably.
Sounds like she would love it.
That we have, the audience base is there.
Yeah, I mean, even the kids that look like they're about to try to sneak into Black Phone.
Oh, this is the perfect antidote.
Then they, they go and end up actually seeing Minions, and you're like, wow, it's kind of like the cure that these kids needed. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't need to try to sneak into a rated R movie. They just needed
alternative programming.
That's right.
Because how many of them actually want to watch Downton Abbey? I slept during that, and I never sleep during movies. I'm the kind of guy that could be interested in almost any movie because I'm just such a film buff.
Yeah.
I could even take ones that I don't like and find positives in them, but the Downton Abbey, the new era, just had so little conflict and interesting things going on. I was just sleeping.
Yeah.
It basically seemed like an entire 2+ hour long movie that was serving as an epilogue for the first movie. So basically, it could have been a 15-minute YouTube short,
Yeah.
and I would have watched it and enjoyed it more that way. Like, oh, she bought a villa. Oh, she might have had an affair with somebody. Oh, she dies at the end. Oh, they had to film a movie, but it's right when speaking was audio was included on set, so they were recording talking pictures for the first time because it's the 20s. So the actress has a horrible voice cliche, so she can't do it. So she has to have a voiceover, and that embarrasses her and makes her mad, and she feels dethroned and despotlighted. But it works, so she doesn't want to lose her job as the physical character. But here's the issue: she forgets not to speak, and she forgets to voice. To just mime with her mouth, and that was the conflict of the whole movie. Was just this actress not failing to assimilate to a new style of filmmaking, and it was just, wow, this is so boring. And there was a gay couple in there, I guess, but I mean, no conflict there either, even though it was the 1920s. Everybody in the film was basically just like, it's a cruel world for you poor gays. Good luck. Nothing else. I was like, okay, you're not really going to do anything else to help these dudes? Okay, whatever. Screw them, I guess. But they need something besides, Downton Abbey and Fabric. And
I'm just saying, if it was a game of Dungeons and Dragons, they probably would have staged a whole like social revolution for those people.
Probably, yeah. And if Downton Abbey, A New Era, was the setup for a game of Dungeons and Dragons, it would hopefully be a 20-minute one-off, because everybody would be sleeping by the time we get to our third dice roll. I mean, it's just, ugh.
I don't know. Downton Abbey, throw in like a mind flayer and you got it.
Yeah, it was kind of boring. So I understand why the kids are gravitating towards the greatest film of the past 10 years.
Oh, Minions, of course. Well, we got a big drop tomorrow happening.
Yeah.
Tomorrow for us, today for the listeners.
Unfortunately, there's like another Thor movie and the millionth Marvel movie the past few months coming out,
which is about to be very controversial, I feel like.
No, I feel like this one might fly under the radar more. It's going to make less. It's tracking to make less. It's Rotten Tomatoes. It's more in the 69% range with the critics. So it's not really, it's not the hyperbole that always comes with these things, where they have 900 million movies. So every time one comes out, they're like, "This is the best Marvel movie since last week when a Marvel movie came out." Yeah. I'm like, yes, good. It's the best one since the last one out of the list of 300 of just this year. Last year there were another 300. And at this point, it's just content, no story, and no character development. Because Thor, he's just a freaking yo-yo at this point. He's fat, he's fit, he's dedicated, he's lazy, he cares, he doesn't care, he's traumatized by his mother's or father's, whichever one, maybe both, death. He's not. He's traumatized by Loki. He's not. Like, it's just there's nothing going on in these movies anymore.
His sister tries to kill him.
Yeah, they just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks to get the same people back in the same seats every month at this point. Like, I'm really not seeing the value or benefit in the 5th Thor movie or the 10th Black Widow or the 50th Captain America at this point.
Personally, I really am a Marvel fan. I love the Marvel movies. Most of them I have no issue with at all. The one movie that I really can't stand, though, and I mean, I appreciate certain factors of it, but I really could not find it in myself to enjoy Multiverse of Madness. Could not find it in myself to enjoy it. I mean, the only good thing to come out of two good things. Scratch that first thing. The only two good things to come out of that movie was clarification on who the Sorcerer Supreme still is, and also, in my own opinion, the best part of that whole movie was John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic.
He got ripped apart in that, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that dimensions, Illuminati got ripped to shreds. Yeah, I mean, Black Bolt made his first on-screen appearance in that movie, and he was the first one to die, which is ridiculous. Wanda, I mean, it's
It's kind of silly that
I
you
could
have to
rant.
watch a Disney Plus show in order to understand the sequel to a movie that came out before Disney Plus was created.
Well, that's the thing, though,
That's
right?
kind of annoying.
It's Disney now, is the thing. Like, Marvel is owned by Disney, which means that they're gonna find a way to milk, viewers to see, like, oh, watch this show on Disney Plus so you can understand the next big movie coming out or whatever not. So, in short, if you don't have a Disney Plus subscription, you have to not care enough to be able to get. So, like,
and then it's a content hole too, because
Yeah.
the shows on Disney Plus, they're not even that dense or beefy or anything. It's just 6 short episodes,
yeah,
and it kind of doesn't really. It's not as good as other streaming shows, and it's not as good as a network television or cable show where satellite, whatever, where you get like 30 episodes for a season. It's literally just 6 episodes, and then that's it.
I mean, it's not that great. I enjoy it for what it is, for what they do have. They have some old classics on there.
Mm-hmm.
I do enjoy Disney Plus for what it's supposed to be,
And they have high quality versions of, like, they have the Dolby Vision enabled. They have IMAX enhancement for a lot of movies, and they have good groups of things. They have all the Star Wars stuff there. They have the Pirates movies, so they do have a lot of good, like,
They
older
good
things
stuff.
there.
Yeah, it's just they're like little series that they're making alongside other releases for movies. I guess the thing that those are lacking most is just length. Like, if they didn't just stop at 6, like you're saying,
Yeah, at least
and
8.
they
8 to
gave
10.
us a little more. I mean, I understand that budget and whatnot, but like Disney has money.
They have the money.
Disney has the money
Yeah.
to be able to afford. I mean, if small studios are able to put out, full-fledged releases on like Amazon Prime and everything like that, then I am certain that Disney can afford to manage at least like 10, 12 episodes of something.
And I get that Netflix has the most subscribers, therefore the most technical income.
Yeah.
But Disney's enormous behemoth that buys up other companies and just like sucks them dry. So they have physical parks where they charge tens of thousands of dollars just to bring your kid to scream and be a brat for like a few days. So it's just, they have the money.
Yeah, they
Netflix, they technically have more subscriber money, but they have less overall net worth. So I mean, and Netflix is dumping $100 million into each Stranger Things season. So I mean, there's no excuse for the highest caliber IPs of Disney not to get more of a
final
budget.
season of Stranger Things is supposed to cost like 98 million, they said.
That's insane. Yeah.
Like, actually, like, that's more money than most people will see in their entire lifetime, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, to play around with that much money. I mean, granted, I love Stranger Things.
I mean, don't even ask about the Bridgerton budget, because as low a quality show as that is, the amount of money they spend on it is just, it's an offense to the human race. It's an offense to the whole human race. Bridgerton's existence and budget.
I mean,
but yeah, Stranger Things is a pretty good example of a company that cares the most about its most valued IP and best show.
Yeah.
And it really shows where other companies are lacking. The BBC is really slacking for the past 4 years. They've started to turn it around, but they really slacked on Doctor Who.
Yeah.
They should have funded it at least a bit more. They should have put more effort into the writing. Disney's not putting any effort into its streaming service at all, even with its Star Wars content. I mean, I'm going to review it soon, but Kenobi was, it really, for the hype it had, they really didn't deliver on it fully.
Yeah.
They messed up some things big time. And the guy who wrote the original story treatment for the movie, they were going to make it a trilogy of films to be released in theaters. They didn't go that route because Solo bombed, and they said, oh, well, not going to do Obi-Wan then. I'm like, why would you pull Obi-Wan, who has the original actor from the prequels, that the guy you need,
Yeah.
just because you had the dumbass idea of kicking Harrison Ford out of a Han Solo movie and doing a silly prequel with some random guy. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy is
I
horrible at
couldn't
taking
tell you.
feedback from fans because
Horrible.
all she does is just call them all racist before they even say anything that could be racist, and then she ignores the actual feedback they give, saying things like, "Don't wreck or recast legacy characters." So she's like, "Oh, we can't touch Obi-Wan then." I'm like, "But you did it anyway with the show.
Yeah.
You were gonna make it no matter what, so you might as well have just gone balls to the wall, put it in theaters, made it the full, made it actual movies." But Solo's failure had nothing to do with Obi-Wan.
No.
The reason nobody liked Solo was because, well, it was just a bad movie. But before that, the reason they weren't excited about it was because they didn't care for having someone else besides Harrison Ford. He owns the role.
Authentic at all.
Yeah, and then they could have still made a good movie, but then they didn't. So it was just double bad.
They just didn't spend as much time as they probably should have going over the movie before they made it, like script wise, or I don't know. There's a lot of areas to work on.
Runs in the Disney family too.
Yeah.
I'd feel like if Marvel had beefed up their writers' room and they actually took a damn break for 15 minutes, gave us just 1 year without 15 movies and shows and everything, I feel like they could actually come up with some good ideas, because right now, I mean, the quality of writing is just, even from 2012, it's just been plummeting. And it wasn't that great in 2012 to begin with, but now it's just kind of really hurting them. And when your plots for your biggest, most marquee battles and matchups in films can be condensed into a single meme that just works so much better than the film's plot, like the Spider-Man one where Peter goes to Strange and he says, "Hey, can you just make everybody forget about Mysterio and everything he said and did?" So then Strange goes, "Of course. Roll credits. Movie's over. You don't need anything that happens after that. None of it matters at all." But of course they're like, "Well, we need all this dumb things, like these things to happen, and we need this issue. He needs to be dumb here. So then he needs to screw up the spell somehow here." And then they try to bait you with all these weird, like, stupid theories. Like, one of my friends at work kept saying, "Oh, that's not the real Doctor Strange. That's a dummy Strange." And then you find out in the next Strange movie, it wasn't a dummy Strange. It was actually him. So I'm like, so he's actually just that dumb and, like, shitty at doing spells. So then at the end of the movie, he does what he did the first time anyway, again. I'm like, why? And then it could have just all ended with one simple, better idea for a spell. So the whole movie, we didn't even need to sit through it. Like, and then same for Strange. Like, all they had to do was just bring that maniacal bitch to a damn show her a picture of these kids, and she would have just quit trying to mass murder everybody in the freaking multiverse. And when I say mass murder everyone in the multiverse, like that rings
dimensions.
That shows a lot more of a psycho energy than just she went on a killing spree. No, she literally started crawling through the freaking infinite universes and just murdering whoever she could for no reason, and then just stopping when she saw some kids and another version of herself.
She was like, she wanted to have those kids for herself, to be their mother so bad that she forgot to think about the next step in her plan, which was, if their mother already exists, she can't be their mother. So what's she gonna do with her version of herself in that universe?
She suddenly just turns good. She's like, "Oh, okay, those clothes will be good now."
Here's the funny thing, right?
After murdering everybody she could.
They asked her that question to her face in the movie, and she didn't have a response. She actually didn't have a single response. She, instead, she didn't say anything, and she just continued to fight them. Like Wanda, they're not your kids. She's like, they're my children. Strange is like, they don't exist. They don't exist. They're not your children. And she's like, oh, I see them in my dreams every night and everything. And it's like, okay, they don't exist though. And she's like, well, I'm gonna learn to travel, and I'm gonna make, I'm gonna go through the dimensions and go to one where I have my children, and then past that, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find a way to, get through and take these. So she thinks that she can just kind of go and run straight through to other dimensions where other versions of herself, Strange, like everything like that exists. Which also, sidebar, how is it that every single Doctor Strange in every universe fucks everything up?
He's
It's
clearly
his
not the
whole
greatest
character.
wizard
Yeah,
as they
his
keep saying
whole
he is.
character is like, oh, I have to do what I have to do to make things right, and then he gets corrupted every time. But then this one somehow just doesn't.
He's the angel, yeah.
He's the one that like is a pure force of good. Which, by the way, you watched the movie, right?
Yeah, I saw so much of it
his,
while ushering,
his
yeah.
third eye opens,
Ugh,
right?
yeah.
And whenever that happens, it means that it's a symbol that he's awakened as, a force of pure good that cannot be wavered or corrupted.
So
right?
he went through heavenly puberty,
Yes, but think about it this way. There's a plot hole in this because
as always.
he fought Evil Strange, right?
Yeah,
Who also had the third eye.
of course. So their
So
own
if
rules
the third
don't
eye,
make
exactly. So it doesn't make sense, does it?
It never will.
Which that strange. I mean, it was a cool fight between them because they were fighting with like magic musical notes. Like that was kind of cool. But I wish the fight was longer. I wish it was more suspenseful. He was literally Evil Strange who went through dimensions killing other Stranges.
Yeah.
That was his thing. And he lost that easy? It's ridiculous.
Imagine the Batman who laughs just getting punked by like one of the very human new novice Batmans in one of the universes. It's like that's never gonna happen. He has powers at this point.
Yeah, man.
It's just it would
ridiculous.
never happen.
It would never happen in a million years. Like I don't understand.
That's why I think they should
they
just take a break and start actually making good
why did they
scripts.
think it was a good? Because I think they gave Strange his third eye only because he used the Darkhold, and then he was like, "Oh well, all the other Stranges who used the Darkhold were corrupted, so we have to make up a reason as to why he didn't get corrupted. Oh, his third eye is a symbol that he can't be corrupted. He's
just like the guy who got his third eye and then became corrupted.
Yeah."
Bruh.
But that's the thing. It's the same eye. It's the same eye. And then at the end of the movie, some random bitch comes up and she's like, "Hey, you destroyed a universe. You're going to help me fix this." But it's like, how did he destroy a universe? An incursion never happened, did it?
Exactly.
Like,
like
what
they
do you
reverse it
mean?
and then they still
or is she coming up and telling him to fix a mess that another him caused?
Yeah, or somebody completely different from any Strange.
Because what was it, 8848 or whatever, 838 was the universe that he was like imprisoned and the Illuminati got murdered.
Yeah, so
that was universe 838.
How is this his problem?
Was it because they said that Doctor Strange from universe 838 used the Darkhold and ended up causing an incursion that destroyed a whole universe? So maybe he has to fix 838's mess?
That's not his fucking problem. That's a whole different universe. Like
that'd be like
that's not his problem at all.
Exactly. Like that'd be like, the police knocking down my door and arresting me for, a heinous crime I did in another universe.
Yeah, literally,
It's like
somebody
what?
from Mars
it's like,
broke a
I
sign.
didn't do anything.
Like, what the hell? It's just, and then one of the mic drop moments that these teenage girls with all the Wanda stands, the most toxic, some of those toxic people on the internet, they were trying to drop mics at the Super Bowl trailer for this movie because they kept saying shit like, "Oh, listen to this," and she's like, "Every time I do bad stuff, you do bad stuff, you get praised, and every time I do bad stuff, I'm the bad guy. Yeah, it's not fair." I'm like, No, yeah, I mean, I don't remember any time that this Strange that you're talking to went and just decided to try and murder everybody in the entire multiverse
Right.
that he could get his grubby paws on.
I mean,
First of all, second of all, you kidnapped and held hostage an entire town for no reason just because you wanted to live out some stupid sitcom fantasy.
Yeah.
And if anybody's even bothered to watch the show, like, you have to sit through the show to even know that. And then three, you're murdering everybody in the multiverse over people who don't even exist.
Over your children that
You're
you can't have.
You're being a childish
don't exist.
moron.
But also,
And nobody's, she's acting like it's this whole big feminist rally cry. And I'm like, you're a freaking mass murderer. Like,
But
you're Hitler.
there's another plot hole. There's another plot hole.
I'm not surprised.
And it's that, through all the times that they show her kids, in the other dimensions and everything like that, like, oh, her kids exist out there, they never show Vision. So they're not Vision's kids.
Exactly.
Which means she could have just dreamwalked, found out who the father is, found him in her own universe, and lived happily ever after. Like, that could have been.
They weren't even his kids. In that universe, he probably didn't even do anything to get them.
That's the thing. He wasn't there.
Isn't he a robot
never showed
anyway?
The dad. He's the Soul Stone. Incarnated into an artificial body. So, like, he's not necessarily a robot. He's more of like just artificial organic tissue. Like, think of it as like it's a body without a soul, and then the Soul Stone was put into it, making him a person.
So so he probably has like a silicone.
So he could probably
member.
But I don't know how he would procreate.
No
what I
idea.
mean? Like,
does it give him balls? Like,
but like, that's the thing. Does the body make? We're not going to go in that direction.
We can Google later to
we
find
don't
out
need
if
to worry
Vision
about
concede, but we don't know exactly.
But, like, the thing is,
any experts
in
out
the
there?
Movie, they never showed the dad of these kids. Not once did they mention the father. Not once, like, because that's the thing. It would have been too convenient, right?
Yeah.
Because they.
And also, they would have had to deal with
in the other dimensions
actually having him there.
Who's to say? Because the Avengers don't exist in every dimension.
Yeah.
So who's to say Vision even exists in every dimension?
It's
but
a mess.
If she's saying these kids exist in each dimension but not hers, does that mean that her being in the Avengers is what prevented her from having these kids?
And does she want to? How many of these pairs of kids does she want? Is she just going to crawl through every dimension and just kidnap like infinite pairs of these kids? Like, what the hell was her plan anyway?
Her whole focus is these kids, rather than, why wouldn't she use that power to look for a universe where her brother was still alive,
or look for one where she's dead and she can just step in and raise the kids? Like, she has the power to do all this dumb murder shit. Why doesn't she just use the power to do something pretty normal and decent and good and be like, oh, I found one, you need a mom? Like, good lord. Even this. Even go to a dimension, kill herself, and then just take the role. One death instead of infinite deaths for the needless violence and bloodshed. Anyway, we 20 minutes of Doctor Strange by accident here, but
yeah, we might. We just reviewed Doctor Strange.
There you go. We might actually bump this to the main title. We might make this Minions, Marvel, and Watch Dogs. Oh my!
Honestly, we can count Doctor Strange as my review, and we can count Minions as yours. Because
the fire burned in his breast.
I'll give a long and short of Watch Dogs Legion real quick, and that is that, personally, there's a lot to do in the game, but you just can't really stay on track about certain things. You could sit down and play the whole game. It'd take a while, but you'll get sidetracked with so many things, and then before you know it, you're just hit with like a slapstick of boredom out of nowhere. It's an enjoyable game. The missions themselves are really what keeps it going. Entertainment wise, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do in the missions that you can't really utilize or take notice of when you're just adventuring around the world, which I mean, the world is a pretty good size, and the game itself is based around like every single character in the game is playable, which is an amazing thing. I mean, I've never heard of a game that does that, where you could walk up to a random person on the street and shake hands with them and do a little like, hey, I'll do you a favor if you join me, and then they'll be like, yeah, sure, but you're going to do that favor first. So you go and like rescue their friend or something, or you can find out deep information on them and be like, oh, they hang out here at this time, or like, oh, this person is holding someone important to them ransom, which is why they're working this job. And you can go and you could take out that person that's holding them, and then they'll just be like, hey, I know you did that for me, so I owe you attendance. I'll join your cause, kind of thing. And it's cool. I mean, even the simplest and smallest of like, there are a lot of characters that are very helpful, but you could even just walk up to a street performer and be like, hey, I want to be able to play an instrument for my character. You have no other kind of skills that can be useful to me in any kind of way,
Yeah.
but whenever I want to just walk around and mess around in the city and play an instrument, just walk around and do that. Or like other characters have stats where like, oh, when you knock someone out, you like pick their pockets and you gain extra money. Or some characters have a clothing discount at stores. There's other characters that are super famous, and NPCs, when you walk by, will notice you and they'll want to take pictures.
Like the streamer guy.
Yeah. There's like live streamers and celebrities and such. And then there's like a businessman who is into like stocks, like a stockbroker, and they will make it so that you earn more money after missions. Or you can get somebody that's in with the police, and they will make it so that when your team member gets arrested, they have a shorter time being arrested. They'll get out sooner. Or a paramedic, so that if one of your agents gets hospitalized, they can have quicker treatment, possibly.
And I noticed when you were playing it, a lot of the gameplay mechanics, they seem inspired by the Arkham games.
Very.
Not in a way that a lot of other games are, where they try to copy it too much, but more in a way where they're thinking, this tech was really cool, like the recreation of a scene of something happening with like the computers building a model, and they kind of merged it with the new Sherlock Holmes games, it seemed, where he has to recreate things in his mind based on what the clues that he gets. So they kind of like slam those together.
Right.
So it's like recreation, a little bit of improv, to fill the holes that they don't know, but mostly like a technological recreation of scenes, tech gadgets, so creating distractions, hacking things, drones, and then different gadgets you can use, and non-lethal stuff too. You kind of are operating like a Batman in a way. So that's why I noticed
essentially
from it, a lot
just
of it
an
was
army of Robins.
So
it's none of them are Batman.
So it's kind of like that. They seemed inspired, but also trying to push the envelope instead of just copy and pasting. Because you could copy a Rocksteady game, or you could copy that, and people would be happy with what you give them because they make amazing games.
Absolutely.
But it seemed like they're trying to do something, a little different.
Well, I mean, to that degree, you can tackle any scenario you're given in a mission, because stealth is a really big name in the game. Watch Dogs is just kind of how it is. I've never thought those games to be the kind that you just kind of run in and through the front gates and start blasting with
no guns blazing,
with a non-lethal gun. You know what I mean? Like you'll want to hack all the surveillance cameras, highlight all the enemies, understand where they are, where they walk,
memorize
set off
their
some
routes,
traps here and there to like minimize the numbers, and then once there are few enough of them or whatever not, and there's openings, then you slip through and do what you need to do and then get out, all undetected, and that's like a perfect mission. I mean,
that's the goal.
But there's so many different ways to do it, because each character you use will have different things. You can equip different like tech equipment with them. Like if you did want to go through, the enemies react to you kind of similarly how you react to them. So like if they do spot you and they're like 5 feet away from you, and you don't pull out like a gun or like a weapon like that, then they won't pull theirs out and they'll try to subdue you with melee combat. Which
Which is
melee
good.
combat's really fun in the game. I mean, it gives you some versatility, which, some characters are bare knuckle fighters, like that's what they specialize in. Like you could play as a hitman
Yeah.
who, I mean, it's kind of risky doing it, but they know gun kata, which is like you can immediately take down any enemy when you have a gun equipped, and it's really cool looking. But
Is that more like a melee thing, or do they just know where to shoot?
It's just a melee thing.
Okay, yeah. Because I was thinking you shoot them in just the right spot where you don't necessarily, kill them for sure, but they're definitely not going to get up and keep fighting.
They die.
Yeah.
If you use the Hitman's Desert Eagle or G36, they most definitely die. And
the spy looked cool though. Kind of looks like Spies in Disguise. Cool. It seemed kind of funny, but cool.
The spy that I have looks like Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
It's actually really cool. But they give you a lot of detail to each character too, like what they search in the web, like any small businesses they might run, who their associates are, parents, friends, partners, like that how much money they make a year. Like
Google searches. It was crazy the level of detail. They have
so much detail, and there's also an additional detail under each character that shows your accomplishments with them and like stuff that you've done. Which, I mean, there's a lot that goes into the game, and there's a lot to appreciate. Like there's so many things you can do. The story goes in whatever way you really want to play it. There's like 5 different branches of main story, and there's a ton of side missions. I do love the game. So I mean, I do love the game. It's a lot of fun. Me myself, I played it nonstop for like a few weeks when I first got it. I was obsessed.
Kind of fell off a bit after some of the bigger missions were done.
Once more games started coming out and everything, and my friend group, wanted to play those. But
did you try the zombie thing yet?
No,
there's a zombie mode.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet.
New.
I want to play it with people.
Yeah,
but it's difficult. I mean, my friends that do play online fairly frequently, they're not really interested in the Watch Dogs games. Which, I mean, I think it would be really cool to play the zombie mode. I would love to. I've tried online as well, which online is separate from the campaign entirely. Your character roster and everything like that does not carry over, which kind of bothered me. I didn't spend much time in it.
Yeah, it's just like a whole ground up thing again.
Yeah, and I mean, if you join a game online, like an online world, and you run into other people just randomly passing by, if you're not working together to do something or like do missions and stuff like that, if you're not coordinated, it's literally just walking around an open world with no real things to do at that point.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of games online modes, they kind of, or even just their multiplayer modes, tend to fall through like a trap door.
Well, they
often
to make
don't
it
have the time or the budget left to make it any good. So it's like, why is it even here? It's just to keep people opening the game
Pretty
again.
Much. Well, it's
praying for some microtransactions.
They try
probably
to keep it as free form as possible.
Yeah,
and I admire their ability to stick to it. But I mean, there are some things that could have been done a little differently. The online mode was enjoyable for what I did, but not to the extent that it should have been. I do want to try the new zombie mode because they did add zombies.
Looks kind of neat.
It looks interesting. Looks like a whole different kind of game. I would love to do that. Granted, I doubt it's going to be as fun as like shooters and like zombie fun horde games like Killing Floor and everything like that.
I mean, obviously one of the most famous examples was like the Call of Duty zombie one. Oh my god, people would not stop playing that in college. And I was around people who played it constantly, like religiously, and then the Zealots obviously moved over to Fortnite once they discovered Fortnite.
Of course.
They all abandoned it, but the zombies was way more fun. I remember when they would play that.
The old school zombies was the best. It's gotten way too complicated.
Yeah, but it was just fun and scary. But
Well,
yeah, so
I do want to ask you before we get too dislodged from what we came here for.
what do you got?
What's your take on Minions then? What are you rating it?
I would say that for the first time ever, I would give one of the Despicable Me movies 2 thumbs up because it brings an absolute non-stop side-splitting, in some cases, laughter. It's got a great story with a lot of heart in it. But it doesn't get too corny or cheesy like a lot of kids' movies fall into. It's not too cliched. They have amazing puns, and it's just something fun that literally anybody can go see. But it's not too general or boring, like a lot of 4 quadrant movies. So I would say, absolutely go see this thing. Get it when it's streaming. Get the 4K box set when that comes out, and just keep supporting Minions because they're practically public domain almost. And that's the genius of Universal, is that they don't have to battle in the Supreme Court every 30, 40, 50 years like Disney desperately clawing to Mickey Mouse and their DC Comics desperately trying to hoard every single iteration of the creation of Superman, for example.
Yeah.
Because copyright laws, they expire after a few hundred years, and these companies have managed to hang on to their power long after their term has expired,
Yeah.
as Obi-Wan said in Revenge of the Sith about Chancellor Palpatine. So
Yeah.
the genius of Universal is that they don't sue you for making freaking Minion birthday parties, and they have the most money out of it. More people see their movies, more people buy the merch that they do put out, and more people enjoy it because
It's exposure.
they can make their own creations. They can engage with it online, and it's a whole funny little culture thing. So
It's exposure.
it
What
is. It's free
If
advertising.
you see Minions everywhere and you let people use it
creatively,
then that does nothing but help you, right?
yeah. Instead of Disney saying you have to buy this picture of Mickey Mouse for your, at an upcharge
Yeah.
for your birthday party hat. So I'm like, this is stupid. But Minions is it's almost everywhere, and you can do almost anything with them. So it's just special. It's actually the best they've done in years.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of the second Despicable Me movie. It was pretty good, but it was nowhere near as good as the first. It felt like a very sad, follow up to the amazing first one. So I would rank this one right up there with Despicable Me, the
Good.
2 best movies. The second, the third one were not that great, kind of awful.
They're
And then
meh,
the first
yeah.
Minions movie, it was the 3rd best movie of the series, but it still wasn't that great. But this one's incredible. 2 thumbs up all the way. I loved it. And then what would you rate Watch Dogs?
I would
I would say campaign mode. We can the other
mode
ones people
specifically.
can dig into them for themselves.
I'm gonna rate different aspects of it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because again, it's like an entirely different game when you're doing certain things. Taking into account the missions and combat and everything like that, I most definitely want to give it I want to give it 2 thumbs up for how they managed to do that.
Yeah.
As far as the world and like getting around and everything like that goes, and fast travel is a big part of it. There's a lot of mini activities you can do. You can fight in the underground fight clubs. You could bounce around a soccer ball for as long as you can with like different button presses that you have to time and everything like that. It's like a skill check kind of thing. And I mean, it's an entertainment. There's different things you can do. You can deliver packages if you really wanted to.
Nice.
I will give it 1 thumbs up for sure with that. So altogether, I mean, I enjoy my time every time I play it. Like any game, eventually you kind of run out of things you want to do immediately, and you get bored.
Yeah.
But I would say I'm still having fun with it, and I think it well deserves 2 thumbs up.
Seems kind of fair, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're doing a good thing with Watch Dogs, and I mean, this game's really good. I hope they continue to work on it and add things, and I mean, it's only getting better. They added character customization, so you could, if you really like the character, but you really hated their hairstyle, so you slapped a hat on them forever, you could finally take them and change their hair and everything like that. Or if you really liked the character and you didn't like how many piercings they had in their face and ears, and
just
everything
tweak
like
it and
that,
stuff.
you could get rid of the piercings. You know what I mean?
That's good. So you can make minor tweaks.
Yeah,
It's better than you don't have to change
change
the whole thing.
Yeah, you
just
can
make a little
You
tweaks.
can change whatever you want.
Good.
Clothing is great in the game. You can go to different clothing stores now, and when you discover a store, you can go back to like the safe house, and you can look at everything from every store from the safe house that you visited.
So you don't have to hassle
really
all the way back
so
over.
You don't always have to, certain clothes aren't just available at those stores now.
So they gave you a take-home catalog, and you can order at home.
Exactly, yeah.
You can order online.
Which I really love. I mean, that was part of the thing that really ticked me off whenever I first got the game, was there was no accessibility for customization really anywhere.
Unless they probably listened to the feedback and made positive
and
improvements.
I think they made it good.
Good.
I will try the zombie mode, and I will talk about it, in a side note, I'm sure, next week or something. Future episode, at least, unless I get distracted.
Yeah, might as well.
But yeah, altogether, I give the game 2 thumbs up. And,
a pretty good week this week for us, then.
Yeah, and for my other review that I unintentionally did, I give Doctor Strange Multiverse of Midness a thumb down for sure. And I don't give it 2, simply for the fact that although it irritated the hell out of me, I still didn't hate watching it.
Yeah, at least you can just at least you can critique it from the point of view that you wanted it to be good.
I can laugh. You know what I mean? Like, if I only ever really give a movie 2 thumbs down if I can't laugh.
Yeah, if
I can laugh
redeeming.
at it for being bad, then it's not that bad. But I can still enjoy watching it. 2 thumbs down for a movie for me means I hated my time.
So Shark Boy and Lava Girl, or something like that.
Growing up,
maybe.
I loved that movie.
Well, no, kids nostalgia. You might never look back on it.
I love that movie, but if I watched
The Adventurer.
it now, it would be cringe, maybe.
I think it was like The Adventurer, The Curse of the Midas Box, or something like that. I hated that movie, and it was The Adventurer. Like, that's the worst title ever. And he literally just called himself that. He's like, I'm the Adventurer. Like, you are the No. No, you're not.
He went with standard.
You're the... No. You're the nominator.
You're the nominator.
You just give yourself a stupid name. You suck.
Sounds like a DC superhero.
The Adventurer from the 1930s. Yeah, so do you have any helpful advice for this week? You have maybe 60 seconds. Helpful advice in 60 seconds.
Helpful advice in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
I would say if you're going to go watch Thor anytime soon, pre-order your tickets online for sure.
And turn your brain off.
Because
it's a Thor movie we're talking about here.
It's going to be busy. We all know it's a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
It's summertime. Kids are out. So do your best to prepare yourself. Don't underestimate them. Anything you got? I know you've been having your quotes.
Special philosophical quote for the day, or for the week, I guess. This came from the beginning of a game. Dragon's Dogma. Dragon's
I love
Dogma.
that game so much.
We'll be reviewing it at some point. The translated quote at the beginning reads, "The delightful and ever novel pleasure of a useless occupation." Just one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. One of the most true things I've ever heard. So, to all of you out there like me who enjoys the delightful and ever novel pleasure of their useless occupation, this is a shout out for all of you. And a quote to live by, I guess. I'll probably put that on my tombstone right next to something like "A day sober is a day wasted," simply because that quote just
right next to that guy.
Twists people's brains in such a way that they might as well be wasted.
Yeah, exactly.
They can never figure out that quote. What do you think it means? Like, off the top of your head, you don't even have to
I
be
always
right.
thought that it meant that when you're drunk,
then that's a better way to spend your day.
That's one interpretation, yeah.
I thought that's basically what it hit me with when I first heard it.
It sounds kind of similar, but when you peel back the onion layers, you realize you might have missed one.
Cakes have layers.
Yeah. But anyway, folks, I'll leave you all to try and figure out that quote. Let me know in the feedback for this episode. If you're listening on Spotify, we actually do have a feedback page, so
Really?
you can answer questions. I usually ask questions and give the opportunity for answers. So if you guys think you have the answer to this question, type it in there.
Let us know.
And yeah, we'll leave you to it. Thanks for listening to our 3 or 4 reviews today.
Yeah.
Hopefully they enlightened you or helped you in some sort of way.